But
Yeah, I kind of ask about that. The what you were saying earlier about being a left anarchist and having these ideas about the party. I think some of them might have been falsely represented, but there are some hardcore idealists in the party who aren't willing to budge on anything, and I feel like they really keep a lot of people who believe in liberty and anti-authoritarianism from coming in. And I think you really opened the door to a lot of these people. Um, so did you run into that a lot? Was there a lot of pushback, not just from the joke, but from being someone who is not a strict idealist libertarian? Was that kind of a hurdle you had to jump, or how did
no,
that go?
one of the things that ultimately, my left anarchist tendencies, dovetail pretty decently with the platform. I mean,
Right.
as an anarchist, the Libertarian Party is comprised of anarchists and minarchists, ultimately and desirably, I think, working together to dismantle the state. And so there's nothing really inconsistent in the platform per se. I mean, it's a statist document, granted. I mean, it accepts the reality of a state. They're talking about their relation, our relation in the government and
Right.
stuff. But ultimately, I believe my wing of the party or chunk of it that overlaps right and left, utopian in nature. I mean, we are looking towards a post-state society, and what will that post-state society look like, and how do we get there? And what is in the platform in the general libertarian ideals are not inconsistent. Even some of I mean, during the debates, for example, and I think you have some libertarians who make the pronouncement that throwing the red meat to the delegates or the party faithful or the libertarians, but day number one, we're going to end Medicare. Day number one, Social Security gone. And even during some of the memes early on in the campaign, keep the FDA. Trump, yes. Biden, yes. Jorgensen, no. And it's like, to normal people, without the context, without
Right.
the exposition, without an explanation, without concrete examples or a roadmap how to get from here to there, it is
Yes.
going to be extremely problematic in making people think that we are reasonable.
Right.
I believe we are reasonable people,
Yeah.
and reasonable people want to see how we're getting there. I mean, we like the vision. And yes, these things ultimately in a government, stateless society would not exist, and they should go. And yes, but
Yeah, especially if it's a tweet with like two sentences on day one, I will eliminate the Department of Education. Everyone sees that and they think she doesn't want us to educate our kids. That's what they hear.
yes, yes, it's perceived as extremely radical,
Right.
and it is too.
Yep.
Um, but it's not, once again, not inconsistent with my anarchist principles, but I have a lot more nuance and a lot more subtlety, and certainly more interested in presenting alternatives, possibilities that'll get us there, and alternative policy. I mean, we had a good policy team that was starting to come up with some really good stuff on the joke.net. We had like legit examples of ideas of how we could wean ourselves off of universal healthcare and create our own non-government universal healthcare by making it more affordable and all that shit. Um, so there's definitely a lot of ways to get to where we want to go. But what are the priorities? What are the needs of the people? Yes, of course, government is evil and shouldn't exist, and everything they do is wrong and mismanaged and inefficient and has unintended consequences. But then you find yourself in some crazy world situation like we're in, and just massive unemployment, and just systems breaking down, and fucking government takeover, and feds and fucking kidnapping people on the streets, and shit's going down, and these it's pretty intense, and so we really have to tailor our message to what's going on, man.
Yes, no, I agree. So something
When a pro Black Lives Matter tweet turns into a shitstorm, and like, okay, boy, that's a really powerful statement, but let's everybody who thinks that's a terrible thing. I mean, the terrible libertarian Twitter was all over that shit, you know?
yeah.
Oh my goodness.